Well, a familiar face to our region and a civil rights icon for the rest of the nation popped up in the Oval Office recently after the transition of power took place. Joe Biden took the reins. Many Americans, especially Latinos, were ecstatic that a statue of Yuma native Cesar Chavez took center stage behind the Resolute desk. Well, I spoke exclusively with Cesar Chavez's son, Paul Chavez, on how exactly it got there.
Holding a new place of distinction at President Biden's back, Latino labor leader Cesar Chavez.
The replica donning new hope for countless Americans as President Biden signs countless executive orders in hopes of getting the nation back on track.
The last 4 years, our community has been under siege. We've seen intolerance and the rise of racism. It's been a terrible time for not just Latinos, but for all Americans. And so to see that bust there for us marked the new beginning.
But how exactly did the bronze bust of a native human, the son of farm workers and a middle school dropout, end up in the office of the commander-in-chief?
Tuesday before the inauguration on Wednesday, that there was a formal telephone call with the head of the executive office of the presidency, the head usher, where he formally asked to borrow the bust of my dad.
Prior to calling the White House home, it resided at the Cesar Chavez National Monument in Keene, California, a place special to Chavez, almost 350 miles from Chavez's place of birth in Yuma, Arizona. And it was during those final days where Cesar Chavez sacrificed his own health for farm workers. Days when a young Joseph Robinette Biden figured out the direction of his political career thanks to Chavez.
6 years ago, shortly before the establishment of the Cesar Chavez National Monument, when then President Obama came to Keene to dedicate it, I received a call from Vice President Biden on my dad's birthday. Actually, I was driving down to the Coachella Valley for an event, and he, it was a 202 number, didn't recognize it, but I took the call anyways. And hi, Paul, this is Vice President Biden. Just wanted to call and just let you know I'm thinking about your dad on his birthday. And then he went on to tell me how, he had met my dad as a young legislator, and it was through his example that he was inspired to continue a career of public service.
The admiration doesn't stop there. Chavez shares that VP Kamala Harris also channels inspiration from the labor organizer, as his message to continue in the lucha, the fight for equality, is universal to all.
It's important to remember that even though my dad was Latino, and he worked with farm workers in rural parts of the country, his message was really a universal message of opportunity. As a son and his family members, we're all very excited to see his bust there, And I got to admit, every time I see it, I get a thrill. But we understand that it's more than just that. We understand that it really represents the contributions of Latinos and farm workers and people of color. To me, it represents something that goes back and it says, listen, we recognize that Latinos and working people and people of color have been here. They've done the most difficult jobs. They've always answered the call of this nation. And today it's time to recognize them. And so for us, it represents that new day.
But a bust of Chavez is just one way that signifies that the White House is once again the Casa de la Gente, the people's house.
He believed that just because your parents weren't from this country, and that just because maybe you didn't speak English at your dinner table shouldn't diminish any opportunities that we have to partake in this great American dream.
Simple acts like offering a Spanish White House website, something the Trump administration did away with, signifies the efforts to repair the strained relationship with the more than 60 million Latinos who call the U.S. home. An opportunity to also say the name of those who may never get a statue of their own in the Oval Office.
And my father was always uncomfortable with the personal recognition that he received, because he understood that there was many people like Dolores and Larry and Gilbert Padilla and many other folks, Marcos Munoz, and people that made tremendous sacrifices against seemingly insurmountable odds, but whose names are largely lost to history.
A history that will never be lost, as those who once chanted "Si se puede" are afforded the chance to see future generations chant "Si se pudo," as they are afforded the opportunities they once were denied.
It's amazing how many calls that I've received from old-timers, people that are elderly now that marched with my dad. They are so proud, because what it does, it's an affirmation of all of the sacrifice and the hard work that they put in, that this country still has a lot of promise for all of us, you know.
From Yuma, the birthplace of Cesar Chavez, Christian Galeno.
And you've got a blanket, a pistol.